Okay, Shekhar, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Shanila.
Okay, I just checked it whether the streaming is going well.
How do you check that? You check that from the link itself, is it?
Yeah, the live streaming. Yeah. Okay, let's begin. All right, so hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Leadership Stories, part of Conversation with Shanila. I'm your host, Shanila, and every now and then we meet someone whose journey makes us pause, not because of the title they have held, but the organization they have worked for, but because of the question they have dared to ask themselves. So today's conversation is about one such question: what happens when success is no longer enough? So, for years, many of us are taught to keep chasing the next milestone, the next promotion, the next salary, the next certification, and the next achievement. And we all do the same, right? I am part of this again. Milestone journey, chasing the milestone journeys, right? But there are moments when sometimes quietly, sometimes unexpectedly, and we realize that success doesn't always answer the deep questions: who I am becoming, what truly matters now, and what kind of impact I want to leave behind. So when I came across one of Shaker's personal reflection titled "Dear Me," I found myself thinking about these very questions. That it wasn't a story about success. It was not the story about chasing something, but it was a story about growth, curiosity, humility, and becoming what you want to. And I knew this was a conversation worth having. So today I'm delighted to welcome Shekar Hariharan. Shekhar, thank you so much for joining us.
I think I should say thanks, Shanila, for having me in this conversation. Looking forward for it.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine that you are here. So, Shekhar, before we talk about leadership and other things, right, I would like to start with something very simple with you. When someone introduces you by your professional achievement, right, how much of that still feels like you?
Interesting question, Shanila, to begin with. Uh, you know what? Honestly speaking, when somebody introduces me with, all these things, right? I have become indifferent to it. It feels actually awkward to be introduced with your achievement, with your title, with your these things, right? Because somewhere I feel the me, the real me, is nothing to do with all these things. These are just a byproduct of what I am, right? So yeah, a short answer is Shanila, it feels very awkward, to be honest, you know. And in fact, just to add to it, right? I think I realized I probably discovered my real self after shedding these titles and these, name of the company, the name of your role, what you do. When you leave that behind, I think the real self emerges. And I've been lucky enough to experience that a little bit.
I think I can say that when I was trying to, design an introduction for today's conversation, I thought, how would I introduce Shekhar, right? I saw your LinkedIn profile. You may have seen, I viewed your LinkedIn profile. I was checking, shall I mention all these things? Shall I mention his entire journey and then introduce him? And then I was like, let me ask him, right? Because is this really matters now? So that's the reason, I thought, let me begin with this thing to him, that what
Yeah.
he thinks when someone introduces him. Because I think many people watching today recognize themselves in that answer. Because behind every successful professional is simply another human being, right? Someone who is learning, someone who is questioning, someone who is exploring, actually. So, and let's explore that journey together. So, Shekhar, you have an accomplished career. But if I ask you something that, how has your definition of success changed over the years?
Uh, Interesting. Okay. The way I would think about is, I think the way it's evolved for me is, it used to be a lot tangible earlier, right? Uh, it was very defined, and it's increasingly become intangible for me as to how do I even define success, right? So let me give you an example. I think when I
Hmm.
started my career right after college, success is equal to achievement. That's a formula, right? And what does that mean? What company you work for, what role you did, how much money you made, what car you own, so on and so forth, right? It was a whole list of achievements that started defining, or accomplishment that started defining my success. But I think somewhere in the mid, I also realized that now it's, those are achieved, those are ticked. Then it turned out to be like how much the success formula changed for me to success is equal to influence. Now it was not about me, it was about how much I'm able to influence others, my team, how much is the organizations and others recognizing me for what I can achieve, right? So it became a very influential thing. Still it was tangible. Okay, I can define it as the team size, the kind of work that I'm doing, so on and so forth. And then Shanila, lightning hit me and something else happened, and now success has become a meaning. If I say formula for me is success is equal to meaning, which is intangible because each of us define it very differently, right? So to me now it's more about, I define success as, okay, what is it changing my presence, what difference does it make to anybody around me, right? So it's very difficult to explain in terms of tangible thing. It doesn't matter whether I own a car, I own a title, I own a PMP, all kind of certifications. It doesn't matter because unless there is a change that I can feel for myself in others, I think I feel I'm unsuccessful, right? So yeah, tangible to intangible is my evolution, Shanila, in all honesty, and I'm still discovering it.
Right now, I think if I would see that there's no tangible metric of success for you, right? Right now, you are
Absolutely, and
still evolving. And one thing I admire, Shekhar, is that changing direction often requires courage than staying on a familiar path, right? And to be very honest, yesterday when I was reflecting again, right, on our conversation we're going to have today, which we are having right now, I was, at many points when I was writing on those lines on my diary, on my copy, and I was like, that why I didn't find this courage, right? And that's something definitely very encouraging. And I was questioning myself, right, to be honest. So, um, what gives someone the courage to walk away from certainty, Shekhar?
and you're trying to make me a hero. Okay, no, I'm not hero. I mean, my introduction, real introduction is I'm just a mortal, ordinary being who's still on the discovery phase. But let me come back to your question, Shanila. So I think I would think like it's not as books and movies make it appear. It's not like an epiphany moment that suddenly you become courageous. I think it grows over time. And I think in my life, what has happened is the discomfort of staying in a status quo
Hmm.
became much harder than the fear of uncertainty. So at some point, this balance turned for me, right? So initially, it's fear of unknown, right? I'm so comfortable in my organization, in my world, in my the way that I do the things that I feel like I want to be here forever. And at some point, what happens? This becomes discomforting because somewhere you feel that maybe I'm not growing enough, maybe this is not what I want to do, or maybe I cannot picture myself doing the same thing for the next 20 years, right? Now that increased for me at some point, beyond the fear of uncertainty, right? That's I think the real answer, and it didn't happen overnight. It happened over a period of 3, 4, 5 years, where you became courageous enough. And I think, Shanila, I did one thing uh, which probably accelerated it for me, which is I publicly started talking about it and announcing it, right? So I was trying to make sure that there is no point of no return, right? I started talking to everybody that, okay, time is coming. I'm going to quit, this formula for success, made it so public that it became almost embarrassing not to do it anymore. So I think
Oh.
I I use I use both these things to figure out that I do that bungee jump that I need to do. Else, I am sure, Shanila, I am also, let's say, like all of us, right? It's not the courage thing; it's just the timing thing. I believe in the Almighty, the universe. It has its own timing for everyone as to when that clicks in, and I think I'm fortunate enough that it clicked. clicked in my life.
Okay, so but reflect if I would reflect on it, right, that many of us are afraid that changing direction somehow invalidates everything we have built. Do you think
Yeah.
that's true?
No, no, it does. I mean, I am not an expert, but I'll tell you, I don't think in retrospect it's true. What you built earlier definitely stays, and it just morphs itself, is what I'm experiencing right now. That, whatever I did in my corporate life before quitting into and switching into social sector, and I'll just take a very quick one-liner here to tell whoever is listening about, this change. So I had a corporate career, a long corporate career. Like Shanila was talking, something hit me, and I just did a plunge from corporate and started doing something in the social education sector, right? But coming
Hmm.
back to your question, Shanila, the it's not that it goes away; it still stays with you. I think the direction changes, the meaning changes, like I said, right? So I think that is what I feel. It's the people tend to continue there because they have not yet discovered, and there is no golden rule here. I feel they have not discovered that, like I said. Uh, what is the meaning of the success that I want to define for myself, right? And some people do that, lucky enough, but I think that's probably the answer to. It doesn't invalidate anything for me. I think it has just made it much stronger and much refined now.
So today, Shekhar, today, if I would see your work reflects much more than a career success, right? It reflects contribution. How would you define that impact today? Has that definition changed over the years?
Uh, Definition of what an impact to me means, right? That's what you're
Yeah.
asking, Chal, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, let me just think. It does. Okay, it did. The reason being like this. Okay, let me just give an analogy that can help people understand. Okay, okay. When I was having a team, right? Let's say,
Hmm.
let's talk about a mid-career phase where you're having a team. I think the way I define myself, the impact was, uh, how can I how can I make this person work well for my team, right? So somewhere the impact is, how is my team performing better, right? Is my team doing better? It was very, very outcome based, right?
Hmm.
Now, what has happened to me is, it's no longer about the outcome, it's about the potential. So, example being that I deal with students, and my problem is not how do I get the best out of the student. My problem statement that lingers in my head is, what is stopping this person from becoming the best version of themselves, right? And
Hmm.
that changes the entire conversation and the impact. So, to impact to me right now is more defined as, how do I make others discover their own best version of themselves, rather than trying to be that god guru leader who says, okay, I'm going to get the best outcome out of you, right? So it changes from, I think, to me the impact is my presence. What difference does it make to, even if it's one human life or two human life, or life around me? What is the difference it makes? That defines my impact rather than any metrics. It's not about numbers, it's not about
Hmm.
all these KPIs. See, I discovered something
Revenue,
interesting.
profit.
Yeah. So, Shanila, very interestingly, I discovered something that, these KPIs in social sector, right, means nothing. And humans can't be optimized. I mean, we
Yes.
spend our lifetime optimizing our processes, system in a corporate world. And you just come out of that corporate, deal with real human beings with their real problems, and you will discover that that word itself doesn't have any true meaning. Optimization of human being means what, right? So,
Yeah, I can completely relate to it. There cannot be a tangible metric for a human impact, actually, because it
exactly.
involves people. People doesn't drive by numbers. Their impact, their life doesn't drive by numbers.
Exactly. And I, my favorite line has been this, that, um like, how do you measure parenting, right? I mean,
Hmm.
is there an index to it? Is there, like, I'm a 4.5 GPA parent, and Shanila, you are a 3.2? I mean, you can't define these things. And of course, let me be honest, Shanila, even though I'm in the social sector, we are also these corporate facing, right? So,
Yes.
so we do produce these numbers to show, everyone that, okay, this is my reach, this is my index. But at the end of the day, in all honesty, human beings are not meant to be optimized. Each is a it's a combination of emotions and so many other things that
Yes,
I feel that it's futile to try to convert them into KPIs and numbers.
absolutely. I completely agree on this. So, Shekhar, when I was reading your Dear Me reflection, right, to be very honest, this is a hero, right? Reflection I have read in the past few years. One line stayed with me: the desire to explore more, experiment more, accept more, live more. Those words were very, you can say, felt deeply human, you can say. So, looking back at your journey, at your life now, right? Has life helped you become that person, or is that still a journey?
It's still a journey, Shanila. It's nowhere close. In fact, if I were to talk back to that person who wrote that, that is me, 20 years back or whatever years back, I
Hmm.
would, I would probably be still wandering around. Yeah, I wanted to explore more. I wanted to live more, but probably I have moved from where I was, definitely. But there's a
Hmm.
long way to go. I never realized that it's not a on-off switch there, right? When you say live more, it never ends, right? I have to live more at all ages, right? And I'm still trying to. I think I got better at, Shanila, accepting people and situations much better than my older self, right? So I
Hmm.
think that's one change that has happened in terms of I step in and I started accepting people for what they are, uh,
Hmm.
and not trying to change them completely. Of course, I share my thoughts, my viewpoint on things, but then I have started becoming more accepting than what I was, that time, right? So the dear me, wanted me to become this. I think I've become parts of what it wanted me to be, but still a long way to go. It's not over. Like in one of these poems they say, right? I mean, I'm going to use Hindi for audience who
Mm-hmm.
can
Go ahead.
understand this. uh, Safar खूबसूरत है मंजिल से भी ज्यादा, right? So sometimes the journey is much beautiful than the destination. So I like this journey rather than the destination. I don't even want to know what that destination is.
And I think this is the beauty of it, right? To
Yes,
enjoy, if we want to enjoy it, right?
yes. But the struggle is on. Struggle is still there, Shanila. I
Yeah.
I still can't, what do you call it, live completely. There is still something lingering in your head, so on and so
Hmm.
forth.
Yeah, that I completely, I can say relate to. Being in this journey, sometimes part time, some at some place in life, but yeah, I can relate to it somewhere. So, leadership. Let's come to the leadership part, right? So, leadership often asks us to make difficult decisions, Shekhar, right? And life asks even bigger questions. So, what has this uncertainty, if I would see, right, taught you? How do you remain open to different perspectives while staying true to your own values?
Yeah, yeah. It's again, it's not something which has been mastered yet. But yeah, what I think, what like you said, right? Leadership forces you to, and life is even more ruthless, right? In terms of
Yes.
the uncertainties. Uh, I think I still haven't, mastered this, but then the way I look at it is, embracing uncertainty helps you in a certain way, because see, let's put it this way. When I
Hmm.
came into this, knowingly that it's going to be a little uncertain, you're leaving the success, the definition of what you are good at somewhere behind, and none of
Hmm.
those things are useful in this life that I'm living right now. You came with a certain element of saying that there is an uncertainty that I'm going to expect in life, right?
Yeah.
So that makes it easy right now to handle some of them. But I think our humans still, we like everything planned, and I'm also a PMP, right? That makes it even more difficult, right? So now, it is like everything has to have a project plan. We can't even
Yes.
imagine a world that, oh, how can you even make something without a plan, a stakeholder management review, this review, and I am struggling with it, because in my head, when this uncertainty, I mean, you think that it's going to be this way. I mean, we do have challenges of, funding. There could be operational challenges. There could be absolutely something which is what do you call it, expected, that happens when you're dealing with it. Your intent alone is not sometimes enough to do the changes,
Hmm.
right? So what I ran up, I mean, situations where I land up is that uncertainty, I think, is a part of me help is that because I knew that I was getting into it. The part which is
Mm,
not helping me is to unlearn everything that is, 20, 25 years when you put your brain and make it like planned and you think that everything, it becomes
mm.
very difficult to get out of it, right? So I think control is an illusion. That's the word I will use. We all think we can control nothing. And I think life is teaching me very, very harshly, brutally right now, in every day.
I agree, since we are project managers, right? In everything that project management expect comes to, even you have to leave your home and go somewhere, you always plan it. Okay, when you have to leave. Okay, when we are the
Yeah,
things, right? What could be the worst case scenario? By
yeah,
far, we're going to leave. I
right.
completely agree. In every expect, it usually been coming.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I would definitely would like to address our audience here that, everyone who is watching us live, to pause just for a moment, right? Ask yourself that what version of success you are chasing. I'm sure I'm also chasing a version of success for myself too, right? And everybody does. And this is pretty normal, right? But is it still the success that truly matters to you? I think this is something, a question I on and off, right? Sometimes or very often, sometimes, reflect for myself too, in order to know that, decide the direction I am pursuing. And I think we all have to somewhere, right? That, is this really which we are chasing, right? Truly matters to us, to our family, to our life, right? I think this reflection is very important for all of us to get ourselves intact, what we really want. So I think that was something I would give, you can say, anecdote to everybody who are watching us or who will watch us, right, this conversation. So, Shekhar, this is actually, I would say, the time of a rapid reflection, right? And you can say it's kind of a rapid fire. We usually look for a one word of an answer, right? So, what comes instantly to your mind, just say it, right?
Got it. Got it. Got it.
One
I
word
mean,
or a line, whatever.
yeah.
So, you are ready? Shall we begin?
Yeah, I think I have to be because like you we just talked a few whiles about uncertainty. I didn't know that you're going to ask this, but I'm so prepared for it. Go ahead, shoot, Shanila. I
Okay.
will answer.
Okay. So, Shekhar, one word that describes leadership today.
Adaptability.
Okay. One habit you wish you had developed earlier.
Listening more and more and more. I mean, three words, but listen.
No, it's okay. You can go on a line. All right. So one lesson I would say, yes, success taught you.
Mm, It's a line. It taught me
Um,
that don't take everything for granted.
okay. So one lesson failure taught you.
Bounce back again and again.
Okay. And one belief you have changed your mindset about.
Uh, it's rapid fire. I'm trying to be as quick as
It's
possible.
okay.
Uh, it's taught me to be patient with everyone.
All right. So before we conclude, Shekhar, our rapid fire is over. You can breathe.
Thank you.
So before we conclude, I would like to come back to the reflection that inspired this conversation, to be very honest, right? And if so, if you could sit beside the shaker who wrote that Dear Me years ago, right? I think 2017. So
2017, yeah.
what would you tell him today? And perhaps if I would say, what do you think that younger shaker would tell you actually?
Okay. Okay, let me start with the reverse. Okay, what does that younger one would ask me is, hey Shekhar, did you live, explore, uh, enjoy more that you said you're going to do, or are you still doing it? Right. So that's a question, and I think that's the thing that the younger one will ask me. I would like to tell that person who wrote that, uh, don't get boggled by success, purpose, and all these things. Uh, it comes to you on its own path. Just you don't have to wait for a future you to enjoy more, live more, explore more. Please do it right away. There is no better time than now. And in fact, now is the only thing that's real, right? Both past and future are in your head. It doesn't exist in reality. So my message to that person is, please do not get boggled by these purpose, meaning of life. It will come on its own. Don't worry about it, but start living, exploring, and enjoying life right now.
So, my personal question, if I would see, I would take from your this answer is that could be that, will that Shekhar or is that Shekhar proud of you now?
See, that Shaker will be proud of me that he didn't leave the path that he said he will, and again he made it public enough to not to go back. That pride will be there, but I think he will have a little bit of a problem also that uh, he didn't achieve exactly where he could have, uh, because there's still a long way to go, and I think I'm still trying
Yes,
to
it
figure
is.
this out, right? So I think my Shanila, the way that I look at it is the title of this talk also, right?
Hmm.
What is after success, right? So I am discovering uh, there is emptiness after success. Okay, so uh, don't I mean, my vision of this whole thing is that success should keep changing. The definition should keep changing. I don't think it should be static ever in your life. And I think we have to
Yes.
redefine ourselves and our meaning of success every now and then, so that so if I write dear me right now to a future self of me, I might just say similar things, but I'll ask that person to go in a very different way.
You know what? You inspired me. I should write my reflection too now. It's too late, but still I can.
No, no, absolutely. There is like I said, Shanila, there's only one thing which is real, which is now. So there is never late, there's never early. It's just now.
I agree. Shekhar, thank you. Not just for sharing your experience, but for sharing your humanity, right? Because I think that's what leadership ultimately is. Not having all the answers, but having the courage to keep asking, I think, the better questions. And to everyone who are watching, thank you for spending this time with us. If today's conversation made you stop, reflect, or see success differently, please share it with someone who might need it. I need it. I'm sure I'm going to watch this conversation again, right? Because I think I really need to reflect on my journey and my definition of success too, right? So please share with someone who might need it. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having the conversations that matters. I'm Shanila. Thank you for watching Conversation with Shanila. Bye and take care.
Thank you.